either talk to me nice or I'll kill you. And hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Nikki. Thank you for sitting with me today. I'm so happy you're here. So, this is my first video, which I've recorded about 1,000 times now. I recorded earlier this week and I was feeling really critical about the topic. And then I saw a tweet this morning that made me feel like, you know what? There are people who are going to understand this message and who are going to feel seen on this message. So, I wanted to talk about how we honor bluntness and brutal honesty. I am a advocate, I am a fan of being honest. I'm a fan of being direct. I'm a fan of giving people the whole truth. I am not an advocate and I am not a fan of the only way to deliver that message is through bluntness and what the person delivering that message might consider brutal honesty. And I've always felt this way. And part of that was because of, I would say, not wanting to seem weak. So it would be like, I'm not weak. I just don't feel like you have to speak to somebody that way. And since this is centered around what I've learned in therapy and what I'm learning, I've just been affirmed in that. Your girl was not crazy. And forgive me for using ableist language like crazy, but I was on to something, and you might have heard the air go off, so I'm sorry about that. Well, the heat. Now that I've had some counseling, I realized that you can be fully sensitive and you can fully desire and want that you are not beaten over the head with somebody's version of the truth and in somebody's tactless delivery. And you can reject the notion like, well, if you didn't want to know what I said, don't ask me, or this is just how I talk, I'm blunt. And what I mean by that is you can think about what you say and how you say it before you say it. And the older we get, the less patience people are going to have at our big ages for you just coming out of the side of your neck at people crazy. You can think about what you say and how you say it before you say it. If you are speaking to somebody that you care about, somebody that you love, and you have to be honest and direct with them, that can still be done with care. It can still be done with love, and it can still be the whole truth. It doesn't have to be sugar coated. You don't have to leave anything out. You don't even have to break it to them gently. It can come from a place of genuine care. And I am even more so advocating for this notion because of being in relationships where people were critiquing me and belittling me and demeaning me and bullying me, and their response was, I'm blunt. And I'm talking being in the moment and knowing your gut saying something is not right with the delivery. Something is not right with this. Knowing that how you're being spoken to right there in that moment is not right. But because we are conditioned and socialized to not want to be weak, which is fair, that you take it and you convince yourself, yeah, they're blunt. They're just, it's the truth. They just talk like that. So, I just have to toughen up. It's okay to say I'm sensitive and you're going to talk to me nice. It's okay, even if you're not a sensitive person, to be like, well, just because I'm not sensitive doesn't mean that you can't talk to me kindly, that you can't give me some grace and some compassion. Both sides of those coins are valid. And oftentimes people who fall on the, well, if you didn't want to ask me, or if you didn't want to know what I had to think, don't ask me, the I'm blunt, take it or leave it, a lot of times those people speak to themselves harshly as well. And they aren't getting the kind of grace and compassion in their life. They weren't, they, their circumstances didn't allow for them to be gentle, um, gentle communicators. And I can respect that. I can hold space for that. The same way I hold space that a lot of us who are innately sensitive, we were not given the space to be innately sensitive. So you spend your whole life defending that or resenting that. So multiple spaces can be held at this time, but I do think it's everybody's responsibility to know how to talk to people. And I'm not saying coddle them. I'm not saying hold their hand through everything. I'm not saying sugarcoat it. I am definitely an advocate for honesty in the form of candidness, frankness, straightforwardness. If you need to keep it a buck, you can keep it a buck. And you can do that when you're talking to people you care about, with love, with decency, with respect, with grace, with compassion, with all of those words. You know, Dream Doll has a song called Talk to Me Nice. One of my favorite Dream Doll lyrics is I thought I told y'all to vibe, so suck my dick. And that's not in that song, but I wanted to bring it up. But going back to Talk to Me Nice, there was a response to the tweet that I mentioned earlier, and it was a Black woman, and she was saying, life has been rough with me already. It's been rough with me enough. So, yes, at this stage in my life, I am requiring that people who love me talk to me gently. And that doesn't mean that they have to sugarcoat it. It doesn't mean that they can't be real with her. But she said, either talk to me nice or I'll kill you. And I feel where Sue is coming from. I wouldn't advocate for killing people, but definitely holding space for your partners, for your um, friends, for your family members, and the space for yourself to say, yes, I am sensitive, or I'm not really sensitive, but I would like if you were careful in how you spoke to me, because I'm hard enough on myself. The world is hard enough on me. And I would like for this to be a space where we talk to each other with grace and compassion and love. That's fine. That's fine. And even if you have to have that talk with yourself, like, the world is hard enough on me, and me be going back and forth. We be beefing. And I really would like to be nicer to me. I would really like to be kinder to me and more gentle, because I don't think gentler's a word, but I would like to be a lot more gentle with myself and still be honest. Honesty does not only look like bluntness. It doesn't only look like brutal honesty. And I will say, in moments where people are being dense, it is I I completely understand with being blunt. They're being dense, so you might have to be blunt. If somebody has come to you for the 120th time, which might be what they feel they need to do, I understand that you might have to be like, listen, they're not the one. If you want to be out of this situation, you gonna have to want to be out of this situation badly enough. You're going to have to figure something out for yourself, because this is the 120th time you have come and talked to me about this situation. I think that's straightforward, and I think that is a little blunt. I don't think it was said with malice. I don't think that it was said to break this person's spirit. I don't think it was said in the nature of being blunt just for the sake of being blunt. Because a lot of times people say things bluntly just to say it bluntly, just because they want to be blunt. And a lot of times that's a defense mechanism. It's a protective shield. You say things blunt enough, enough times, people will know not to necessarily try you. I get it. I just want us to be careful how often we receive that, and people who are in our lives who care about us, who love us, who say that that's what they do, how often they speak to us like that, because that's not healthy and that's not fair to you. And they'll call it being blunt, and they'll say, well, it might be blunt, but it's the truth. And be careful with that, because I was reading something, so it's not my example, someone else's, like last year, and it was about emotional abuse. And one of the examples is, let's say someone is not the most organized, they lose their keys all the time, something like that, and your friend or your partner, your family member is just like, God, you can't do anything right, because you're always leaving something somewhere. Nothing is ever put together. You always fucking up. You can't get it together, and all of your problems are your fault. So now you're sitting with the idea that, well, okay, I do always forget things. I'm not the most organized person, so maybe they're right. And because you're thinking of the fact that a couple of things they said might be true, now the whole statement is true. Now you're not good at things, and everything is solely your fault. Your circumstances are your fault, and you're just this mess of a person. And that might not necessarily be true, especially if there might be a reason why you are a disorganized person and that you function that way. Then what they said really isn't fair. It's not really fair to just go off of one thing you said in that statement is true. I always lose things. Or two things. I always lose things and I'm disorganized. Those things might be true. And then they use that as a basis to further critique and demean and belittle you. I'm saying that we should be mindful of what we receive from people and how we allow people to talk to us, because you don't want to wake up one day and realize that you are in an emotionally abusive dynamic or relationship or environment, because it can evolve into that. And I'm saying this from experience. So I want this to be a space to know that you can come and I'm going to talk to you nice. And I'm going to talk with care and with compassion and grace. And I'm hoping that that brings you back, because boy, do I have a lot to share. Also, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Again, thank you for sitting with me. And I'm so happy you're here.